And that's why John Larroquette is criminally underrated. What's going on, everybody? This is the Cover Band Confidential Podcast, the podcast of cover band musicians and band leaders to learn how to rock more and suck less. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, I am Dan Ray. Did you see the reboot of Night Court from the last couple of years?
No.
He was in that. Roz was in it too, but he was really the main recurring character. And the new judge was Harry Stone's, ostensibly in the narrative of this show, was Harry Stone's daughter. And she was like chipper to the point of being absolutely insufferable. Like her one note was like spunky young blonde. And I hated everything except John Larroquette in it. It was a real shame.
It seems like I made the right choice.
I mean, I watched all of it. The writing was as clever as the original was, but I didn't. The main character I couldn't get with. But what's his name? Data came back and reprised his yokel character. What's his name? Brent Spiner. Yeah, which was great. It was great to see him doing that again. So there was a lot of. It didn't do as much as sequels often do. Like Frozen 2 spent the first 45 minutes reminding you how much you liked Frozen 1, and that was all it did. It wasn't so much service to the old fans. It kind of tried to be its own thing. A little more than that, but anyway, John Larroquette, criminally underrated.
Not to completely derail the show already.
Here we go. We're 3 minutes in.
The summer song might be my favorite song from any of the Frozen movies. It's the one that Josh Gad sings in the second one about he can't wait until summer. Yeah, not realizing that
he's a snowman.
Well, yeah, he is biologically incompatible with it.
Yeah.
Finally see a summer breeze blow away a winter storm and find out what happens to solid water when it gets warm.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good. It's been a good week. I've traveled some for work. I'll be traveling some for work again in a minute. But hey, the app's live.
Yeah.
So that's something.
I've got friends that are going over Valentine's Day, and I was like, "You got to sign up for Lightning Brain," and I walked her through getting the whole deal done.
That's
so
good. Well, it's in the App Store now, and the iOS app is a way better experience than the web app, so she should definitely convert over to that if she's an iOS user. And so should you, listeners. When you head to Disney, Lightning Brain is the answer. The free version has a lot of good stuff, and the paid version has a whole lot more for only $9 a day. So unsponsored.
Yes.
Here's an ad for that on an unrelated podcast.
Yeah, I mean, is that double dipping if we start advertising your app and use affiliate codes?
Yeah.
Might be. Speaking of affiliate codes, like I had a video on TikTok kind of surprisingly blow up. We had gotten these Lego shelves for our youngest to put in his room so he could, put his projects up. And I made just if you like Legos, you should get one of these. And it's it got 100,000 views in a day, and it will be partially funding this trip to Los Angeles. So big ups to Lego shelves.
That's good. There is something to that. I've been hearing that. If you have some traction, then throwing a curveball into your feed can catch the algorithm in a funny way and have it take off or something.
Every time that I have ever gotten any sort of headway as far as social posts and things, it's just that I was advertising the right thing at the right time. So they weren't really doing a lot of advertisement. It's a good product, but they weren't super present. So much so they hadn't really anticipated that and sold out the day after. And so I was kind of mad because I was getting all these sales and then it stopped because the link was pulled. And then they figured it out. But anyway, yeah, social media is crazy, guys. I don't know if you knew that.
I keep finding out.
Let's see. Work-wise, I mean, nothing because I'm home on my Sabubu era. I did replace a faucet, the one in our kitchen.
That's cool.
It was not cool. It took way too long. It's one of the things that's it was simultaneously easier and harder than I was expecting.
Yeah, the moving parts of a faucet aren't hard, but they're in hard places.
Yes, I had to, disassemble the frame around the undercarriage there. And of course you got the fancy farm sink, which basically just means you have no place to turn wrenches or
your arms up. You can't, even the fancy socket set can only turn a few degrees,
right.
You're ratcheting 40 times to get it one turn.
Yep. Yeah. So today I learned that a faucet wrench exists. I also now own one.
Sweet.
So there's that. it was $40 and it did solve the problem I had. So, I guess there's that.
Like a big old extension.
It's hard to explain. It's basically like an open cylinder, and it's got attachments that you can put into it, but the enclosure itself can be used as a tool, depending on what it is you're trying to do with it. You should look it up. Just Google. This has nothing to do with anything, you guys.
This is going great so far. This episode's going great so far.
Yes, it is. Back to like what we normally are talking about. I'm prepping for NAMM. The thing that we're always trying to figure out is what gear do you bring? And this is NAMM number 4, I think. And what started with my full camera rig and a tripod and all that stuff, I'm down to my phone and my Meta Ray-Bans. That's all I'm bringing. I've got this compact tripod that I'm going to bring. I am going to put my phone in a cage so that I can mount a light or the wireless microphone to it. I did order a new round of stickers to put on my little handheld mic with the, whatever that thing's called, the thing with the squares on each side that you put the logo on.
Yeah.
So I designed a new sticker without our faces on it, sadly, but would look good on all 4 sides of that. So I'll be, bringing that and using that for on the spot interviews or whatever.
But no gimbal.
No gimbal, no fancy whatever. I have bought many things to take. I have rented. Last year I rented an Osmo Pocket 3. I rented one the year before. The first time I didn't use it hardly at all. The second time I was like, maybe it'll take this year. It did not take. So I wasted money on that both years. So I'm not even going to bother. And it's more of, use what you've got and like try and not overcomplicate things.
And for most of us, our phone is our best camera.
Well, it's also considering the medium in which most of this will be consumed in the first place.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
A vertical POV at 1090 or 1080 is just as good as anything else. So there's no point in trying to overcomplicate things.
For sure.
Getting a couple of inklings of leaks and announcements. Nothing really big has come by. In the bonus episode on the 40 Watt podcast from a couple weeks ago, Philip and I were talking about what we were looking at from Peavey, because they brought some really cool stuff last year. And what I've been hearing, there's some really cool stuff on the horizon for this year as well. Mostly in the lane that they were kind of in last year, which is very exciting for a lot of folks. And the first thing I'm going to do is go straight to Traveler Guitar, who had the Vibrant, which is their like Ibanez Gem tribute. They had a headless version at NAMM last year. Never came out. First thing I'm doing when I hit the show floor, I'm walking straight over Traveler. I'm like, when is it? Give it to me. I want one. I've been patiently waiting. It's time.
And the review video I'll make of it, you won't believe.
Yes, it'll be phenomenal. Okay. So no other housekeeping things. The videos from last week, I did take the topics of each of those and cut them up into individual videos. Those are currently doing numbers over on TikTok. YouTube and Instagram are pretty good, but TikTok really seems to be taking to those. So if you want to check those out, they're fun. But you already know because you saw last week's episode or listened to it anyway. So
of course you did.
Yeah. So let's go on to reviews. More international stuff. This one comes from Australia.
Good day.
It says, great insight, 5 stars. Adam and Dan do a great job of keeping the podcast interesting without being too serious. There is some great information for cover band musicians with some really interesting insight regarding branding, structuring, managing, and generally making sure your band runs smoothly and you're becoming more successful. I like the guests that they have along and have found it very worthwhile for my own band. Well done, guys. Big thanks to Stoneworks from Australia for the kind words. Now, this week's topic is a doozy. It was one of those things where sometimes we come in and we're like, oh, we got a game plan. Other times it's like, what are your thoughts? This thing was kind of a mix of the two, but once we kind of landed on what we wanted to talk about,
this one may hit close to home.
Yeah, public service announcement. This one's going to be rough. It might require some introspection or self-reflection. So just gird your loins.
Yeah.
So this week's topic is leadership mistakes you don't realize you are making as a band leader.
Yeah.
And there's 10 of them, which feels like a lot, but somehow maybe not enough.
Well, yeah. And as we assembled them, we were like, that's enough. No, there's more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead and line this up for us.
Right.
Kind of let's walk into it with with our head clear.
Listen, let's be clear about this. It is the case certainly that everybody struggles with leadership.
Yep.
Everybody struggles to get over the hump of leadership, at least. Some people have maybe gotten leadership licked in a way that then it's natural and automatic for them, and that's cool. But most of us, we're not born leaders. We have to bring ourselves to leadership, and it's a subtle deal. And there's a lot of ways it can go wrong, and there's a lot of ways that you can think you're doing the right thing that has consequences you weren't prepared for. Yes. So that's what this is. This is the good person doing the wrong thing for the right reasons list.
So with that being said, let's get into it.
Let's do.
So number one, I mean, coming out of the gate real hot. Confusing fair with equal.
Yeah. Or really equal with fair.
Yes.
Right? I think it's automatic and easy and doesn't take much thought to say everybody should get paid the same.
Yeah.
It's nicely egalitarian. Those of us with a socialist leaning bent, it slots right in, right? But the reality is the work's never the same.
Yeah.
And the other reality that most people don't ever contemplate or test is that people are okay with unequal pay if expectations are clear. When I set up my current project, I said, we're going to, the mission is to crack the bar gig and get into bigger paying things. When we do, the effort that I have put in and the ownership I have of all of our gear is going to, pay won't be equal when that happens.
Right.
And every single person I said that to in my band was like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. Like,
right.
I just get to show up and play. You're doing all this other stuff. So that's valid.
Yes.
But I think a lot of people, band leaders, confuse, as we said, equal with fair. What's fair is that everybody gets paid the same, even though I'm doing a whole lot more.
Yes. And like you said, most times, as long as things are clear, most people are fine. Because as a guitar player, if you're like, I just want to show up and play, and it's already been established, you get to show up and play. The only thing you need to worry about is when you're there and making sure that the material is under your belt. That's all you got to worry about.
Yep.
And most people would be like, cool. It's you're doing things without being recognized, or it's never been communicated, and you are expecting somebody to notice or for things to change without there being any sort of discussion, and that doesn't happen. And then, the symptom of these leadership issues primarily is resentment being kind of fostered. Yeah. And you'll see that kind of come up through a lot of these.
Going to be a common theme, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is the thing you ultimately need to look out for, is what you're doing potentially going to foster resentment with other folks in the group.
Speaking of, here's number 2. Headline number 2. The second leadership mistake you don't realize you're making is avoiding hard conversations to, quote unquote, keep the peace.
Yeah. Have you been guilty of that?
I have.
I find this hard to relate to.
Do you?
No, not at all.
You don't. No,
I hate this part.
Yeah. Well, listen, I have sometimes ended up letting my resentment about this come out in sarcasm, bassist time, 20 minutes behind everyone else or whatever, like comments that just like dig at something that is not working. There's a behavior that's not working. And as a leader, I'm not confronting it. And what happens then is silence becomes permission.
Yep.
And you start to lose the people who are not exhibiting that behavior. You lose the professionals and you keep the people who are the problem people.
Right. The thing is that by quote unquote keeping the peace, you're actually making the entire situation markedly worse for everybody, except for the person who really needs to hear the feedback that you've got. Right. So you're making the entire experience of playing in the group or doing gigs an absolute ball ache. And the person that you're providing the most courtesy to is the person least worthy.
Well, yeah, most at the source of the ball ache. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
hard conversations suck. Let's be clear.
Right. If saying something upends one particular, relationship or component of your band, but resolves a bunch of other things, like that's the conversation worth having,
Sure. And, there's that moment where somebody does the thing that they do that everyone complains about, and you're the band leader, and you don't say anything about it, but everyone's eyes are on you all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And you're not taking action.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good look.
Yeah. Well, and what you're doing is by being permissive to that one person, the pro or the pros that are there and doing a good job feel iced out or not considered,
not cared for.
And so they're like, yeah, I don't want to deal with this. And they leave. And then then Ball Lake Central, the mayor of Ball Lake Town, population U, is still there.
Right.
So the problem never gets resolved, and you end up burning relational capital with good people.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
And earning it with the ones you don't want.
Exactly.
Or with the ones whose behavior needs correction. I don't want to say you don't want them. There's like the point is like a hard conversation enables them to make a choice about if they're going to correct or not, and then it's them.
Right. And it's funny because like this, a kernel of this, rears its head later down the line in this list. So something to just to kind of tuck away for the time being. So number 3 on this list, assuming everyone wants the same thing.
Yeah.
What do you want, Dan, out of a situation like this?
I want something different from you, most likely. This is the thing. People want all sorts of different things out of being in a band. They want to make, they want to make good money, or they want a great time, or they want to be in the spotlight, or they want, an escape from the family for a little while, or they want a creative fulfillment or a social outlet. And to think like, oh, we'll have a band, and then assume that all the people who respond to "let's be a band" mean the same thing when they say "let's have a band," is the height of folly. That is a setup for disaster if you're not going to have a conversation about the expectations of the band and what people want out of it. Look, some people will disqualify themselves in the first 5 minutes of that conversation, and you want that. Better that than in 6 months.
Yeah.
So you got to name the difference. You got to decide, what the band's going to be about, and if we can all align on a goal of, look, we're going to gig twice a month. And if that feels like a lot to people or a little to people, for me, gigging twice a month would be like, not looking at my last year, but the previous time before that, that would be a fairly moderate and reasonable and not too overloady schedule. That'd be pretty deep, pretty workable.
Yeah.
And for other people, it's like, oh my God, twice a month. I don't know how I'd ever found that time in my life.
Yeah.
Let alone to rehearse. So that's a conversation you want to have early and revisit often.
Yeah, because, everybody's situation is different and situations can change on a dime. So something that works for a person in one season may not work for them in another. I had this thing that I used to do until I had a person like say they didn't like it. I used to like ask people at the end of every season, like, hey, do you still want to do this? And most people appreciated that. One person didn't. He was like, why are you asking me? I was like, you are busy. You've got other gigs. Like, I'm just trying to gauge whether or not this is a thing that you want to continue being a part of, or if you've got better options or whatever. And as much belly aching as that person gave me, they definitely left.
Oh.
So it
That's
had
why you asked.
Right. But yeah. Anyway,
I have a friend who is a lawyer, and he's full of opinions. And he said that he has this idea for how a marriage should go, that it should be a 7-year contract that includes both a prenup and an advance authorized divorce decree. That in 7 years you have the conversation like, are we executing that, or are we renewing for another 7 years? And that's like a wild thing to think about, but in a way I kind of like it. Kind of.
I mean, yeah, if you're looking at something without any emotion to it,
well, if things are going well, like, yeah, of course we'll re-up, obviously.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was he goes for shock a lot of times when he talks. This guy, so
yeah, I mean that's an avant-garde position.
Yeah. But the point is like you should check in. Is the point. The way you did that is the way you should do that. You should be periodically like, look, are we all still aligned? Here's how it's going. Here's how it's been. Here's where we deviated from what we said we wanted in the last period. Like, should we correct? Are things going well this way? These are conversations you got to have.
Well, yeah, and like in a lot of circumstances, like a good example of that is just like the gig frequency thing. You can aim for certain targets, but circumstances are not always going to play out that way. So you playing twice a month may look like you playing 4 times one month and 0 times another month, and it all kind of levels out in the wash. But, sometimes July is just July, and you're just going to be busy.
Or sometimes we played our 2, but oh my God, this opportunity dropped in our lap. Like, we'd be dummies not to take it.
Right.
You got to have some flexibility about that. But which means there's the expectation and then there's the reality. You want to acknowledge the difference between how we meant it for it to go and how it played out.
Yep.
And then like how it played out. Did that work? How can we adjust expectations to be more like what that was? Or do we need to really make sure we're being more careful?
Yeah.
The point is these are the conversations you need to have. And as a leader, you're not doing them, I assert. 90% of you are not doing them. So do them.
Yeah. Just do them. All right, moving along. You want to do this one?
Number 4. This one hurts. Over-explaining decisions.
Now walk me through that in detail.
Ooh. Okay. Well, here's the thing. This counts for band leaders. Democracy, a band by democracy, is a different thing than this, and I don't think it really exists. Frankly, I'm pretty skeptical about the whole notion of it. But leaders think that transparency means justifying every call. It means you got to have a reason for it and a rationale, and you got to be able to explain it and convince people and win people over. And what that does is it invites debate and second guessing and voting. And I've been clear with my band. I always want to hear your input. I am a benevolent dictator, but at the end of the day, I'm going to make the call. Because I've been in bands where there was nobody making the call and it was chaos.
Yeah.
So a service I'm providing you is I'm the one who makes the call. And that means sometimes I'm not going to go to the effort of justifying myself. I don't have to. I've set it up so I don't have to.
Yeah.
Leadership means clarity. It doesn't mean consensus.
Yeah.
I always want to hear your input. I am a benevolent dictator, but at the end of the day, I'm going to make the call. Mm-hmm. Like not to have to be the one making the decision. I show up and play. It's great. I'm part of it. I have ownership of it in terms of what we deliver. And you have to balance this with making sure your people do feel the right degree of ownership, which is not a small degree. But when it comes to decision making, when it comes to direction, be informed by people, but don't let it turn into debate.
Yeah. And it is a tricky situation because you can run the risk of, well, 2 things. The first one is it seems like things aren't solid. And so you're getting this kind of like waffling because you're seeking input and it's affecting your choices, but it doesn't seem like once you land on something, it sticks.
Yeah.
And that can be super messy.
That's the thing. If you make decisions and then continuously revisit them and nothing ever seems to get decided and move past, this is why. That is the symptom of this. You are letting it be a group decision when you need to just have it be a leadership matter.
Well, and on the flip side of that, you have the ask hole conundrum.
Yeah.
Which is you over-explain and you over-communicate and you ask for input and you take all of the input and then you ignore that input and do something else.
Right.
Which, talking about relational capital, that just erodes, people's trust in your decision-making. So don't do that either.
Yeah. I asked my wife shortly after Christmas, when do you think we should take down the tree? She said, I don't know, weekend after next. And I was like, weekend after next? That long? She was like, you didn't actually, you asked me that, but you had a right answer. I was like, yeah, I 100% did.
Yeah.
I put it like I wanted your input. I didn't. We were going to take it down this weekend, and that's how that was going to go.
Yeah, and that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, don't do that either. But
yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
number 5, do it.
Letting the loudest voice run the band.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that in every scenario, every band's got that guy, that gal, that person who is either the person who complains or is the 20,000 foot idea person, but like no follow through.
Yeah, no execution.
Yeah. They're always talking about things, but there's not, it doesn't necessarily push anybody in a particular direction. Or they're just the person that is salting the gig by their general attitude.
Yeah.
So if all that person does is complain, and that complaining, kind of moving back to the the hard decision situation, doesn't get addressed or handled, you're prioritizing the needs of one person over the needs of people who are more worthy of your consideration, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not just like negativity. This is also the big idea guy.
Yep.
Oh, there's this festival coming up. We should play that. Yeah. Okay. We should. How would you propose we do that? Well, I don't know. That person can, because they're loud and because they seem visionary in some way, their influence can get confused with authority.
Yeah.
And they can tip direction one way or another in a way that, if it's backed up by action and unified in terms of expectations and direction, right? If you've done those hard conversations before and done the direction, that person could be your powerhouse. That person could be your boat motor that could, push you across the lake. But that's not what I find often. I find often people have really big ideas and very little execution. And then the band starts to listen to them like they're the direction, even though they're not going to be helping to execute.
Or they are acting like they are the person in charge and they're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
For one reason or another.
Yeah. And that's not, you don't mean that in terms of like pulling rank. You mean that in terms of like, in charge comes with a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So they want to be the person who gets credit for decisions being made.
Yeah.
But, they aren't the person who's doing the majority of the hard stuff.
Yeah.
And that can just cause, it's another one of those things where if you don't have a place where the buck stops, it can get real confusing over, what direction people are going in. And people like that can sometimes, muddy the water over, what direction the project is supposed to be going in.
Yeah. They can create a lot of noise.
Yeah. So don't do that.
Don't do that.
Okay. This one is probably the most obvious. It's definitely the one that I am the most reminded of that I need to be better about it, which is failing to document expectations.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't one of those things where it's like, hey, don't do that when you're like in front of somebody. It's all of the other stuff. It's the minutia. It's the detail, which is, of course, the thing that I suck at. So here's some examples, like call time. What are we wearing? We're rehearsing on this date. Here is the list of songs that we are trying to prioritize.
And here's what it means for you to walk in prepared.
Right. Okay, you can't make this gig. Who's in charge of backfilling the position? Is it the band leader or the person who can't make it?
Yeah.
Is there a social media policy for people who are in the group?
Yeah.
Some people have that. Some people are like, what are you talking about?
Yes.
But there's definitely, I've had a couple of conversations with some folks like, hey, I'm not saying that you can't think a certain way or believe a certain thing, but when you have my band's name in your bio, I just want to make sure that you are representing me right. And the thing that I've spent the last 10 years building,
yes.
that we are in alignment.
Yeah. And this is a crazy thought. Every place you've ever worked has had an employee handbook.
Yep.
Where the company's expectations for you are documented on paper. And if you violate them, you'll be referred to the handbook.
Yeah.
I think it'd be an interesting thing for a band leader to have these things on paper, documented, handed to a new member.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, though, just like the employee handbook, it's going to be full of rules that people will be like, what?
And then you got to say, just like an employee handbook, you got to say, well, there's a reason that's in there. We made that rule in response to a particular thing that we never thought could happen. We thought it was obvious no one would do that, but clearly it's not. Yeah. So here it is in paper. It's I think it's a good idea.
Well, and I think that like it's something that even at a cursory level, when somebody joins or you're talking to them, to set certain things like, here's the look of the group, this is our aim to do this. The week of the show, you'll get an email with the rough timeline and, be prepared for it to be kind of flexible, but this is the way that we typically operate.
Yeah.
And really, if somebody does something or acts outside of those parameters and you didn't provide that information to them ahead of time, that's not their problem necessarily. I mean, sometimes it is. And I've definitely been in situations where I've had to explain why something isn't okay to do
right
at a gig or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's probably not a great idea for you to be sitting in one of the guests' wives' laps at the gig, especially because you're married and your wife's not here.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do that.
I never thought I'd have to tell a bassist that it's not okay to take a bathroom break in the middle of a set.
Middle of a song, maybe.
Song, it was. Bad news is I didn't realize he was gone until he came back.
That's funny. But not really.
Not really.
Okay.
All right, number 7.
You got it?
Yeah. Being emotionally reactive instead of predictable.
So we're talking about a vibes-based leadership?
We're talking about a mood-based leadership.
Okay.
We're talking about a bad news is something you can't tell me without me blowing up based leadership.
Yeah.
You got to be able to get feedback without defensiveness, without coming back at the person. Issues got to be able to come to you, and you got to be able to hear them even when they're hard. So there's that. Then there's the fact that our moods are influenced by all kinds of things.
Sure.
Leadership works best when it's expressed with consistency, when people know what they can expect from you. So if it's different on different days, that's not great. Yeah. If it varies by how long you've been sitting at the bar, that's really not great.
Yeah.
If there's things that they can't bring to you because they're afraid of how you're going to respond, it's not good.
Yeah.
So part of leadership is an emotional maturity that you can trust and your people can trust that you will manage yourself about anything.
Yeah.
Look, I've had times in my professional life, and I've been a people leader in my professional life for 12 years, I think. I've had times I had to get off a call and say like, look, I can't respond well to what you just said to me, so I need a minute. So I'll call you back.
Yeah.
That's a better thing to do than have that reaction come out of you.
Right.
What's your take on that?
We're ultimately always trying to thread the needle between like this thing that we're doing for, let's say for fun, maybe side business with our professional lives. And because you are going to be in scenarios outside of, what you would encounter in your professional life at gigs, sometimes you're not going to be in the best position to handle tough things. And we're all infallible. We can all be pushed over a particular threshold.
Yep.
And this list of things isn't necessarily a do this, don't do this kind of thing. It's a thing to be aware of. And when you don't meet these criteria, you don't nail this target of being emotionally well-regulated, you need to circle back in those scenarios and own up to it.
Yep.
Because I try very hard to not be reactionary, but under stress, under pressure, under a number of different, factors, I can't always keep that under wraps.
Yeah.
And so if I fly off the handle or say something in a terse, blunt way, I need to also be willing to follow up and say, hey, that was out of line. You didn't deserve that. I should have had better ways of doing that. So it's not just that you need to do these things. It's also, hey, you need to own up to your people if you don't.
Sure.
All right, so number 8 is kind of like some of the other ones here, but it's protecting the wrong people.
Yeah. This is sort of like not enforcing the rules and the impacts of that, except that why you might not enforce the rules is because that person is a longtime friend, a founding member, talented but difficult.
Yeah. Like we've all been in those scenarios before.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate to have to replace them.
Yeah.
Secretly, by the way, you'd love to have to replace them, right? That would make life so much better.
Or like you're in a scenario where like you just know that if you do have to let them go, that they're just going to make your existence a nightmare.
Yeah.
And so you rather be in a band with a person you hate than deal with their pettiness,
fallout,
and revenge arc outside of the band.
Yeah, it's like a whole Count of Monte Cristo thing going on over there.
Yes, I mean we've definitely been privy to those scenarios
for sure.
From our Patreon
on the Patreons,
folks.
there have been some stories. Yeah.
Yeah.
But listen, here's the thing: loyalty doesn't trump professionalism, right? And if there's a hard conversation to be had with somebody, and you're avoiding it because they have some status or something, that's just another excuse,
right? And if they are professionals, they should be able to take the feedback that you have to give them. And if they can't, then where you stand.
Yeah, they either need
and what you need to do next.
Pull themselves up by their bootstraps, or move on. Yeah. Yep. Here's number 9, and I resemble this remark.
Yeah, this is the one that probably hurt the most reading it.
Number 9, doing everything. Here's the thing: leaders are doing wrong and don't know it. Doing everything themselves, then resenting everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you and I've talked about this a lot. Like we really, really, really relish our overwork martyrdom.
Yep.
We really just enjoy that very much.
I did all the things.
Oh, I know. And then, you just showed up and played.
Yeah. What did you do? Nothing.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, because you
didn't say anything.
Yeah. I mean, we're in the group chat every single day. Like you could have mentioned something.
Right.
And listen, it's not everybody's job to do those things.
No. And you signed up for this.
Yes. This is the thing that you're apparently getting paid extra for.
If you ever do.
If you ever do.
If you don't have fairness confused with equalness.
Yep. And it's a double-edged sword because you get all of the credit when things go great, but you also get all of the credit when something doesn't go right.
Yeah.
Because you don't put yourself in a position to fix the problem before it gets out of hand.
Right. And dealing with the fact that the fix isn't working harder.
Right.
Right. The thing about leaders is they create other leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that means is delegation. It means assigning ownership. It means bringing people up to support the group mission in a way that they can do.
It also means that you give them the leeway to do the things in a way that works for them.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't 100% align with the way that you would do it.
And you've had a great experience with that recently.
Yep.
And things are going well.
Yep.
And they aren't how you'd do them.
Nope.
Yeah.
It takes a certain kind of person to do what we do, but it takes a certain kind of person like us to also let other people in and for you to just kind of like be open-handed about what you're doing.
Yeah, giving away a project that's close to your heart is one of the hardest things you can do. But it's how that project gets to survive beyond the limits of your capacity.
Yes. Because we all have strengths and we all have opportunities.
So I have some insurmountable opportunities.
Yes. So yeah, it is important to look for others in your orbit that want to do things, because there are things that I really enjoy doing on the back end, and there's a bunch of stuff that I just do not enjoy at all. And if I have a person in my group that's like, hey, I want to do this, I want to take this on, by all means, because they feel like they've got some ownership in the group and you feel less stressed out because something that you would normally have to do and it's being taken care of by somebody. That's great. Yes, please.
100%.
And I say that as a person who really struggles with this. And while on paper it makes perfect sense, it is the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
And, I've had good experiences and I've had bad experiences with those things. Sadly, you only learn from the bad ones, which is the thing that I hate the most,
I'm not sure that's true. I think you can learn from good ones.
I said learn the most.
Oh.
Yeah, you can try something and it works and you feel good about it, but yeah, you don't learn as much unless you fall flat on your face.
Yeah.
Do you concur?
I do. I don't want to, I think I've had some great experiences with this where I taught myself it was possible. All the successes at it kind of look the same and all the failures at it are different in my experience. And so like every failure has been a new mode of failure to find out exists. So that's a thing.
I actually find it the opposite. I feel like successes pretty much all look the same, or successes can look different, but my failures all seem to be the same, or at least they're being caused by the same deficiency within me,
I got that. Yeah, I know I got that. Yeah.
All right, let's land this plane. Let's wrap this one up.
Here we go. Number 10. Forgetting that the band is a product, not just people.
And I think this is a personality thing.
Yes.
I think that depending on your temperament, this can be more difficult in certain circumstances. So band leaders who are only trying to manage the relationships within the group at the expense of the audience, the client, and maybe the overall branding.
Yes.
Where you're trying to, make sure everybody feels like this is like a safe space or like a clubhouse or whatever for friends.
Yeah.
But you're doing it at the expense of, the end result. Like that's where, you start to slip.
Look, as a band leader, you got multiple, I'm going to use the word audience in a marketing sense, not a performance sense.
Yeah.
You got multiple target audiences, right?
Yep.
You do have the booker and the people in the audience for the show, but your band is also a target audience for you as a band leader, and you got to service that market, right? But I think band leaders sometimes get turned internal.
Yep.
To the extent that they forget about the other audiences they need to service.
Yeah. Well, and that's it's when we start talking about certain topics and other musicians pipe up. They're like, well, I would never do that. I was like, you aren't the person I'm talking about, dude.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't ever do that.
Yeah. You are not the target demo. And by only taking the input of other musicians, you're really selling yourself short, and your audience is going to, it's going to reflect on them.
Yeah, there's so much in common. Having worked in product management now for many years, there's so much in common between band leadership and product management, because both are constantly asking, what experience are we selling? What is the product? What problem are we solving? What experience are we selling? And how are we doing it, delivering it?
Yeah. It doesn't mean that things can't progress or evolve or be different than like the intended mission statement, but you need to go into those things with eyes open. And if it's something that does kind of like pop up over time, then it's just like, okay, well, let's reflect on these changes. Is this something that is beneficial to us as a group, as far as fulfillment goes? Okay. Is it happening at the expense of what people are paying us to do? Yes. Okay. Well, then we probably need to tweak that. No. Okay. Well, we can probably continue down this path. There's this kind of constant state of curiosity and analysis and
discovery.
Yeah. Fail fast, sprint, iterate.
Yep.
And that's it.
All right. Well, those are the 10 things.
Yeah. Do you feel triggered?
Yeah. Which one hurt you most?
Yeah. Show us on the doll which one hurt the most.
Where this episode hurt you. Yes.
coverbandconfidential@gmail.com. I want to know which was the one that had you like sitting in your bed, staring at the ceiling, having a moment.
Yeah.
This is good convo.
Good talk.
Good stuff.
Yep.
It's the ouch, I needed that type deal. So if there's anything that we forgot or any situations that you've run into, let us know about it. Leave a comment on the YouTube version of this video. Send us an email, what have you. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So we'll have one more episode before you go off to your trip and I go off on my trip, and then we'll reconvene and talk about what we figured out.
Sounds
what
good.
we found.
Sounds good.
If you like to support the show, you can do any of the things you're about to hear, but I will go ahead and call it from this week. In Atlanta, Georgia, I am Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, I am Dan Ray.
You have been listening to the Cover Band Confidential podcast for the week of January 16th, 2026.